High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello everyone, it's great to have you with us again on Overtime. I'm Regan Holgate.
And I'm Scott Leber. We are fired up to bring you some more great high school football action from around the area tonight. We'll show you if Hononegah was able to dominate another Nick 10 foe, the Guilford Vikings. And we'll see if those Byron Tigers were able to do the same in the Big Northern Conference.
We'll also go to Stillman Valley where the Cardinals and the Lutheran Crusaders went at it in a key game. And we'll take a look at a strong Rochelle Hubs team in action against Johnsburg.
And in our Spotlight segment, I'll introduce you to the man whom Harlem standout running back Jamani Mohammed draws some of his inspiration and motivation from his father. But we start things off with a matchup in the Nick 10 between Belvedere North and Boylan. And Reagan, if this game was half as good as last year's game, it promised to be quite a show.
And it was a show. Last year, the Blue Thunder rallied to edge the Titans 31-28 on a 48-yard field goal late in the game. Let's head to Titan Stadium for the Gillies Heating and Air Conditioning Game of the Week. That field goal I just mentioned was booted by soccer junior Alan Perez. Would we see some more clutch kicks from him tonight? Well, let's check it out. Boylan had control in the first half, and it all started with this punt return from Santana English. He's going to be able to get to the outside with a few blocks, makes a few men miss, and he is off to the races. That is going to tie this game at 7. The Titans would score a few more, and then here's how they end the half. Connor Dennis airs it out. Denny Dimes has Mason Calderon. Boylan went into the half up 28-7, but Belvedere North had something cooking. A rare pass here from Max Gillenswan. He's got Ethan Tuckley on the perimeter. He misses a tackle, and he's in for the score. Now it's 28-14. The Blue Thunder on a comeback tour here. Eric Roman found a hole, and folks, he is gone. We've got a tie game, 28-28. Belvedere North will get the ball back and try to run out the clock and rely on that guy I mentioned earlier, Alan Perez from 41 yards. No good. Let's go to OT. Boylan will get the first crack at it. Dennis, he's going to go over the middle like we saw him do all night. Phillip Dixon in the end zone. Now it's 35-27. North has to score to keep this thing going. Gillenswan rolls out right, launches one out there, and Nico Bertolino has it. What a catch! 35-35, folks. The Blue Thunder trying to win it here, going for 2. Bertolino again, but Dixon makes the grab, and the Titans survive with a clutch stop. What a game, 35-34 your final, and this one goes in favor of the Titans. The most dramatic of finishes. Of course, I'm out of breath just doing that one. We're joined now by our Nick 10 analyst and performance manager at Mercy Health Top Performers, Tim Bailey. Tim, it looks like the Titans had this game in the bag. We talked about it on the sidelines, but how would you describe the atmosphere, in Titans Stadium and what the way the Blue Thunder refused to throw in the towel?
First of all, you got some of the best fans in the state.
My gosh, yeah.
So the Titan fans, salute my hat to you guys. You guys did a phenomenal job. But getting to the game, I have to ask myself first, who was that came out second half? Because the first half we saw Boylan really taking it to a really good Belvedere North team. And then all of a sudden there was a momentum shift when Belvedere North came out, and they pretty much dominated in the second half. So with that being said, I think Boylan needed to respond, and they did. But I think going forward, Boylan can't get themselves in this type of trouble anymore.
So what was it, Tim, that really changed that momentum in the second half for Belvedere North? Did they change up their strategy? Did they do anything drastically different? Or did they just execute better from the first half?
What I saw, Belvedere North just executed better, to be honest with you. Belvedere North did a phenomenal job. Coach Beck and his staff did a phenomenal job making the adjustments in the second half to where they came out. They almost walked away with the W coming out of Titan Stadium. So, defense played well in the second half, and offense, they clicked a little bit more on offense. I would have to say, though, I think this may have been a closer game if Belvedere North had some type of passing game. I've said that for years. I'll continue to say it until they show me different. But, you got to tip your hat off to the Titans for really just staying hungry and really staying poised, particularly at the goal line stance that you see here in the clip here. So, again, it's tough to play in that stadium. And, again, we knew this was going to be this type of matchup this time of the year, these two teams going head-to-head. But, boy, what a game.
What a game. And not that it should have come down to this, but it came down to Boylan's big stop in overtime that won them that game. Tell us what you saw there.
Well, again, I've always said, I've got to say, big-time players step up in big-time games, and I think that defense of Boylan, all 11 of those guys on the field stepped up at that moment.
Yeah, and it was Dixon who used that great speed of his to shoot in there.
Yep.
And I don't know if he knew what was coming, or he certainly looked like he shot that alley, like he knew where he was going.
And then Connor Dennis, too. You know, Connor Dennis goes down with a calf strain. Hopefully he's okay. But the resilience he showed to really just come back into the game and just keep his Titans in the game was huge for Boylan.
All right, so we're going to skip ahead now because we're going to bring you back a little bit later in the show to talk a little bit more Nick 10 football, Tim. But coming up next, that's a little bit later in the show. But coming up next, folks, we have NUIC action from Pecatonica. And in the Big Northern, the Lutheran Crusaders had a rough outing against Byron last week. We'll see if things got any better for them tonight at Stillman Valley.
Football teams are always looking for those measuring stick games that show them where they stand. There was one of those games tonight in Pecatonica.
Well, the Dupac Rivermen hosted the Dakota Indians. Dupac came into this game 2-0, Dakota 1-1. And Dakota's ball here, 4th and 2. Nolan Mayberry going to hand it off to Connor Matthews. Matthews is stopped short. It's a turnover on downs. Later, it's the Rivermen at the 3-yard line. Cooper Hoffman just tosses it to Jalen Nowd. Nowd scurries in for the first score of the game, and there will be a lot more for the Rivermen. Cooper Hoffman this time taking it to the house, gone 36 yards, Dupac up 12. Dakota trying to answer. Mayberry at quarterback. He throws, and it's picked. And Drake Davis will take it all the way. Dupac fans fired up. Boy, did he read that pass. The Rivermen took care of the Indians in this one by the final score of 47-0. Also in the NUIC, Forston defeated Galena 30-16. Lee Wynn jumped out to a big lead on Stockton and then let off the gas and won 48-20. And in Fulton, Eastland Pearl City put up a good fight, but the Steamers won 14-6.
Let's go to Stillman Valley, where the Cardinals hosted the Lutheran Crusaders. The Crusaders got steamrolled by Byron last Friday. How would they respond? Second corner, running back Gavin Sanders off the direct snap, reverses the field. He's going to find a hole down the left sideline, and he'll eventually find the end zone. How about that? That made it 14-6. Stillman. Cardinals next drive, trying some trickery. Keaton Rahman off the pitch, going to throw, and that'll be picked off by a Lutheran. What would they do with it? Well, the same thing. Daniel Ballard going to throw it up, and he will also snag it the other way. Cardinals would capitalize on the turnover. Michael Orlando cashes in for 6. It's the ensuing kickoff now that we'll take a look at for the Crusaders. David Ballard finds it off the hop, gets some good blocking, and he puts on the Jets all the way for the touchdown. He is fast, folks. Back and forth we go. Stillman's next possession, Keaton Rahman again learns from his mistake, keeps it instead this time, tiptoes down the sidelines and finds it for 6. It was 26-14 Stillman after that touchdown. Stillman would hold on to win 48-28. The Cardinals are now 2-1.
On to Byron, when the Tigers were waiting for Rockford Christian. The Tigers outscored their first 2 opponents this season, 141-6. First quarter, Royal Lions' Jaden Williams has it after a missed Byron field goal. Under pressure, heaves it, and it's caught by Jermaine Francis for the big gain. Then Williams again, fighting for his life, scrambling, bombs it downfield and into the arms of Easton Morehouse, and he takes it all the way for the touchdown. Byron actually trailing this season for the first time 6-0, but we know the Tigers can do their thing. After a big kick return, it's Kai Aiken going in for the touchdown, all tied up at 6. Next drive, Byron already in the red zone. Andrew Talbert getting it this time to the right side, brings it home in front of a beautiful sunset there. The sun did set on Rockford Christian's chances. Another Byron blowout, 70-14, the final.
Here are the rest of the scores from the Big Northern Conference. For the second time in 3 weeks, Oregon had an overtime game, but the Hawks lost this one to Genoa Kingston 20-14, and Dixon shut out Rock Falls 40-0. Also, North Boone blasted Winnebago 55-6. The Vikings have looked very good the last 2 weeks. All right, the Rochelle Hubs have high expectations this season. They were on their home turf tonight, facing an always strong Johnsburg Skyhawks program.
Taylor Castro had that game covered for us. She joins us now. Taylor?
Guys, the Hubs have a lot of talent returning from a team that reached the 3rd round of the playoffs last year. One of the teams the Hubs beat in the playoffs was Johnsburg. Johnsburg came into this game with a record of 2-0. Rochelle was 1-1. And the Hubs, they came out hot. Dylan Manning is a force on the ground. He runs this one in for a touchdown. And get used to it, folks. He's only a freshman. Coach definitely likes what he's seeing. Manning does not quit. Here he goes again, turning on those jets, and the Skyhawks just can't keep up. The Rochelle defense was a problem for Johnsburg all night. Tommy Tordot finds this pass for the huge interception. Grant Gensler is another name we heard a lot tonight. He throws up a little stiff arm and heads into the end zone for 6 more. The Hubs defense deserves some credit too. The Skyhawks were turning the ball over on downs most of the night. Here, Caden Morris sacks Johnsburg's QB in the backfield. Then hey, it's Gensler and breaking away and finding the end zone. That put Rochelle up 42-0 heading into halftime. It was all Hubs in this one. Rochelle dominated Johnsburg 48-0. Next week, the Hubs will hit the road. They'll play at Harvard. Scott and Reagan.
Boy, that was an impressive win there by Rochelle. Thanks, Taylor.
There's a lot more action tonight around the area. Let's run down some of those scores. In DeKalb, the Barbs lost to Orland Park Sandburg 41-34. In Sycamore, the Spartans rolled over Woodstock 42-0.
In 8-man football, South Beloit wins again over Holden Hebron 35-20. River Ridge edged Orangeville 43-40. And in the big one in Polo, Milledgeville flexed its muscle. The Missiles beat Polo 58-22. Don't go away. In a bit, we're going to meet the Mohammeds from Harlem, the father and son who have a unique bond.
Up next, though, we have more Nick 10 highlights and more from Tim Bailey. We have 4 more games, including Guilford trying to slow down a red-hot Hononegah team.
Well, we saw Belvedere North and Boylan go at it earlier in the top of the Nick 10 game in the night, so now let's get you caught up on some of the other Nick 10 action.
The Harlem Huskies were ambushed last week at Hononegah. They were looking to shake that off and maybe tweak a few things tonight. They were at home hosting the winless Jefferson Jayhawks. This one went to the Huskies as expected, but it might have been a bit closer than many people thought. Harlem defeated Jefferson 23-0 to improve to 2-1.
At Wyatt Stadium, it was the Auburn Knights hosting the Freeport Pretzels. Auburn QB Anthony Purifoy on the run early, and he had a couple big runs on their opening drive. And moments later, it's Purifoy diving in from a yard out. So the Knights sending a message early. Moments later, Purifoy dumps it off to Terry Horton. He's so dangerous, shakes free, gets to the outside, puts on a move there, and Terry Horton's in for the TD. That made it 12-0. Still in the second quarter. A.J. Moore is going to get the football, and he bounces it outside. Another weapon for the Knights. The Knights put together another impressive performance. They win this one 40-6.
At Belvedere, the Bucks and the East E-Rabs took the field. Both teams were looking for their first win. Here comes number 6 for the E-Rabs, Javius Catlin. A big third quarter run to the 15-yard line. Let's go 2 plays later. Catlin with the ball again. He's got some blockers up front, and that's an East touchdown. Still in the third quarter here, it's going to be Catlin again, this time between the tackles. Oh, look at that spin move, and in for another touchdown. The Bucks couldn't stop the East run game. The E-Rabs get their first win of the season, 56-14.
Hononegah rolled past Jefferson and Harlem in the first 2 weeks of the season. Would it be more of the same for the Indians tonight? They took on Guilford at Swanson Stadium. Hononegah's defense, folks, getting after it again. Drake Brogy shooting through into the backfield for the sack. The big fella's quick. Hononegah's ball now. Grayson Motter going to pound into the end zone for the short 5-yard TD. Guilford QB Malachi Butler trying to get something going, but Isaiah Huey just chases him down from behind for the tackle. Cole Warren now looking for Joseph Melcher, who gets the pass, and watch him just fight his way into the end zone. He wouldn't be denied there. Still in the first quarter, it's Warren going to the air again to another receiver, Cole Schmoll. Schmoll had 2 TDs last week. Give him another one there. It was 21-0. Now, Guilford did strike before the end of the first quarter. It's Messiah Tilson on the jet sweep. He's got a blocker. Gets that block to get outside, and hey, he's gone down the sidelines. The Indians won't catch him. That's a 75-yard TD. But back come the Indians. Warren again to the air. This time it's Caven Colwell for the TD. Hononegah defeated Guilford 51-12. So let's bring in Tim Bailey again for his feedback on this one. Hononegah 3-0, 3 blowout wins. Just how impressed are you with what the Indians are doing so far?
Well, you really got to be impressed. They got a well-coached staff over there, really good staff. And how they've been playing for the last few weeks, it's just really been lights out. It's been really phenomenal. They go these next couple weeks, they don't see anybody really tough in the actual schedule for another 2 weeks. They got Boylan week 6, and then they go Harlem week 7. So, they had a test, excuse me, not Harlem, but they had a test. They had a test last week against Harlem. But, they go Boylan, then they go Belvedere North. So they're going to see a test in the next few weeks, but in these next 2 weeks, they should be able to coast through the conference. But what they've been able to do over the last few weeks has really, really been a treat to watch.
Real quick, you surprised Harlem kind of struggled a little bit against Jefferson?
Yeah.
You know, I am. I think Harlem is really, truly trying to find their identity. I mean, they're yet to really get that offense really going in the direction that they're trying to really go into. Harlem, I don't want to say they're in trouble, but they got some work to do.
Yep, certainly do.
All right, and folks, if you want more from Tim on local football, check out the Bailey Pod. You can find that on YouTube. His guest this week was Hononegah coach Brian Zimmerman, and we're looking forward to seeing who joins Tim this coming week. He likes to surprise us a bit.
Coaches and players. Coaches and players.
Up next, it's our Overtime Spotlight segment.
Yep, yeah, you know Harlem running back Jamani Muhammad. We all know him. Well, now you're going to get to know his father, and the reason why these two have a bond that goes beyond the normal father-son bond. If you've seen Harlem running back Jamani Muhammad play for the Huskies over the past year, plus you know he's a special talent. He also has a special #1 fan, his father Stephen. This is our Overtime Spotlight story. Last season, Jamani Muhammad led the Nick 10 in rushing as a sophomore with almost 1,600 yards. He also returned several kicks for touchdowns. His type of speed and quickness are rare at this level. When he pops a big play, it's something to see. His father, Stephen, was also a starting running back for Auburn in the mid-1980s.
1986, I graduated, played football there for a couple of years. Back when they had Ken Barnes, Coach Barnes was there, Coach Cozy.
Did you have the same kind of speed that your son has?
Well, I'd like to think that I did, but he's obviously been blessed with a talent way beyond what I had.
Stephen Muhammad gave up football to pursue his other love, being a drummer in a band. He was also a barber, but that all changed in 2012.
I didn't know quite what was going on, but I was getting weakness in my left arm and left leg. Then it moved to my right arm and my right knee. Went to the doctor. They weren't quite sure what was going on. But later, after a few tests, I was diagnosed with what's called transverse myelitis, inflammation in the spinal cord.
Stephen suffered nerve damage in his neck. He has lost the use of his arms and hands ever since then.
And so now I have no use of my arms and hands, although I can feel them. So I can feel the touch, but I just can't, I have no mobility.
Although his legs are fine, Stephen uses a wheelchair because he can't afford to fall without the use of his arms to break his fall.
There it is.
He attends every Harlem football game, watching from field level in his wheelchair, and he attends most practices.
Every practice that I can make it to, I'm here. I don't want to miss a moment.
Jamani was a very little boy when Stephen's physical challenges began.
It was tough because he went from seeing Dad strong to seeing Dad having to have help to do everything. As you can well imagine, I mean, I can't feed myself. So. But they stepped up, my children, Jamani especially. It was an adjustment, but he get Dad something to drink, you know, if I need water. He did whatever he could do at that time to help me, you know, along, and even trying to put my shoes on.
Do you think him witnessing how hard you've worked at overcoming this challenge, do you think a little of that has rubbed off on him?
Absolutely. I think it's developing in him a certain resilience and toughness, that you don't give up and you fight hard, and most importantly, you take nothing for granted.
Jamani has learned a lot from his dad.
Keep it moving. Don't let like adversity take over. Just keep it pushing. Keep a good mindset.
When you're out there busting through a hole, sprinting down the field, how often do you think, you know, I kind of want to do this for my dad. I really want to do this for Dad.
All the time.
Hey man, I want to stand up. And I want to jump out of the chair and run down there with him. It's very exciting, man. I'm extremely proud Dad.
Jimani has a strong work ethic, and you can see where Jimani gets that from now. Huh?
Absolutely. And Steven also coaches football despite his disability, right?
Yeah, he does. He coaches youth football for Specialty Screw United, but he's taking a break from that at the moment to focus right now on following Jimani. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Jimani's mother and Steven's wife, Sonia. She's at all the games, and she's obviously played a huge role, too, in molding Jimani and helping out Steven. We'll be right back. It's that time when we bring you the best highlight captured on our cameras.
It's an Ableton Auto Group play of the night, and of course we have to go. The Blue Thunder trying to win it here, and Nico Bertolino is gonna get taken down. Philip Dixon makes the stop, and the Titans survive the game. Oh my gosh, I mean, what a clutch ending. Not that it should have come to that, Scott, but great nonetheless.
I knew this game was going to go right down to the wire, but I didn't think overtime. I mean,
right?
I thought last year nothing could top it. I think this one did, obviously. And Chris Dixon, heads up to you, but to all the guys there in green who made the stop when they needed to. But I credit both teams for really coming back through this up and down game. All right, be sure to join us every Friday night for Overtime right here on Fox 39 at 11.
Remember, you can also catch our highlights anytime on our website at bystateline.com. That does it for this show.
Have a great night, everybody.